Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to make a video, kind of an offshoot of the alternative medicine myths. And I wanted to do one about conventional medicine myths. So things that I believe aren't necessarily true, or they're just very widely accepted in Western medicine, but they they have come into question recently, or at least I think that they should be questioned a little bit more than they are. So the first one of these, and I've touched on this in another video, is that diet does not affect your skin. And I know that this was really, really big with when Proactive came out. If you guys remember Proactive Solutions, Rodan and Fields, I think were the names of the doctors that were like selling this stuff. And their big thing was that it's not anything on the inside that is causing your acne. It is actually just your skin, I guess, something going on in your skin. So they would sell you this 3-step program of these things that you wash your face with, and that clears up your acne. And it does work for some people. I know that there's people that swear by it, but for me, it got to a point where it didn't do anything. And that's because my issues were more internal. And, if you go to a dermatologist, they tell you the same thing. They're like, it's nothing inside that's happening. It's just something on the outside. So they'll give you these really strong prescription topicals. Then you have burning and all kinds of stuff. So I know that this is not true. This is definitely 100% not true, because I will be uploading a video about my acne journey. And in that video, I will tell you how I got clear skin. And a lot of it was what I was eating. It was definitely connected to my illness, to my chronic condition, but changing my diet really, really helped clear up my skin. And my skin was really, really bad. So that video may already be up, or it may not be up yet, but it's definitely a video to watch. I think that's just one of the biggest myths. And a lot of people, like I grew up, my mom would say, as soon as I eat chocolate, I get a pimple. And in my mind, I was like, is it just her imagination? But now when I eat chocolate, I definitely know that I'm going to get some kind of acne somewhere. And going off of that is the other theory that leaky gut does not exist. This was something that doctors fought long and hard, and it is now starting to catch on to the point where Harvard actually has an information page on their website about leaky gut. I think it's called leaky gut, or permeable, like intestinal permeability, something like that. There's a couple of different names for it. And I mean, doctors really, really fight against this one, and it's now becoming more and more accepted, by leading universities. And of course, microbiome science is now, I mean, like, I feel like every month there's a new article about how your gut microbes affect your body, or how they contribute to like Alzheimer's, or this other neurological condition, or this other autoimmune condition. So saying that leaky gut, I mean, I feel like leaky gut and your gut microbiome go hand in hand. So these are kind of, they're not exactly the same, but I think they kind of go under the same category. And it's becoming more and more accepted by conventional Western medicine, even though it was considered a myth for a very, very long time. The third one is that stress is making you sick. Now, this one is kind of, we do know that stress can cause medical issues. It can affect your immune system and that kind of thing. But for people, or for doctors to say that stress is what is making you sick, I think is really an overstatement. Stress is one factor of many that can make you sick, or that can cause issues for you. It's not the only factor, and I think it goes hand in hand with other things. Like, it has to be in combination with other things. For example, genetics, environment, diet, even your upbringing can contribute, to medical issues. When doctors say, oh, it's stress, you need to just not stress so much, I think it's just a cop out. It's when doctors can't figure out your issue, or they can't help you, or they can't offer you anything. It's essentially blaming the patient. And it's just too simplistic to say that stress is causing this or causing that. For example, I did talk about my brother recently. He got diagnosed, or he's going being evaluated for rheumatoid arthritis, and he has gone through a very, very stressful period in his life. His son was sick with leukemia and all of that, but I can't help but think to myself, I have an autoimmune illness. Now he has an autoimmune illness. It's not just stress. I mean, we obviously don't handle stress very well in our family. I think that's we've picked up on that over the years, but there's got to be a genetic component, because 2 out of 3 of us now have an autoimmune condition, or a chronic medical condition. So, doctors can't keep saying it's just stress. The other thing about stress is that it disrupts your sleep. So if you're really stressed out, you won't be sleeping as well. And we do know that not sleeping well is connected to medical issues. And when you sleep, this is one thing I learned from my doctor, is that when you sleep, your immune system kind of like reboots or something. And also too, I think like your cells regenerate or something like that. So obviously stress can disrupt sleep, which disrupts this, immune, boost or rejuvenation. And of course, that can lead to poor health outcomes, right? To illness, to getting colds, flus, things like that. So is it stress, or is it lack of sleep, or is it a combination of many different things? Because there's people that have very, very high stress jobs and they don't get sick, or they don't develop chronic health conditions. So I question whether stress alone is enough to make a person sick. And I think that's a huge myth, and one that is being researched more and more, but is probably not going to be debunked anytime soon. Go to therapy. And this again goes with the stress and, it's mental type of thing. Therapists are trained to identify psychosomatic illness, like whatever, like if you have some kind of psychological thing that is manifesting itself as a physical condition. When doctors are just like, you need to go to therapy, you need to see a therapist, again, it's just a cop-out, because they obviously don't know what therapists do, because a therapist is going to be able to identify whether a patient does have a mental health issue or a physical one. And this has happened to me quite a few times, and I've gone to therapists and they're just like, you need to see a doctor, you need to see an MD, that can help you with this. And so I think that's just become the default. Again, when a doctor can't figure it out, it's like, go see a therapist. And again, this is some kind of mythical thing that they've created so that they don't have to figure out the actual root cause of the problem. Excuse me. This can also delay diagnosis, and make a condition more severe, and make treatment a lot more difficult in the long run. So going to therapy, even if you have a physical manifestation of, mental health issues, you still need to see a doctor, and a doctor can still help you with that. Whether it's, a change in diet or exercise or running blood work, saying go to therapy and just not doing anything is just nonsense, in my opinion. And many therapists are also inexperienced with chronic illness or with physical illness in general. So it's just like tossing the ball back and forth, one person that doesn't know what they're doing to another person that doesn't know what they're doing. Another big one, and I don't know if this is necessarily a myth or just something that doctors tell you that a lot of us have done, and a lot of it has helped a lot of us. It's don't use Google. And I actually have had doctors that are okay with me using Google. So I think this is also something that is being more understood by doctors, because they know that they are limited in what they know and what they can do. I've had one doctor that had that mug that, that says Google is not a doctor or something like that. but my other doctors have been pretty good about me using Google, and they've been pretty accepting of it and not too judgmental. Many patients have been helped by Google, especially those of us with rare conditions. I know Google and searching the internet helped me get to my SPS diagnosis. It also connects you with other patients that can have the same symptoms that you have, and then connects you to treatment or to doctors that can treat your condition. You know, sick people have more time on their hands than doctors. And when doctors leave you with no other options, when they say, well, I don't know, I can't help you, or they just yell at you and tell you to get out of their office, we're not left with any other option. And we have, if we're disabled, we have all the time in the world to be on the internet, if we can be on the internet, and we're going to do it because we're desperate, and we have to be our own advocates. And I'm not the biggest fan of Facebook groups or even, I'm not a fan of looking up different illnesses on the internet, but when you're left with no other options, that's all you have. And I think doctors are becoming aware of that. And if they can't do something, then they just have to let patients do whatever they're going to do. And the best thing about Google is that there's no ego involved. So the doctor isn't going to sit there and tell you, oh, we'll go see a therapist, because their ego is too big to admit that they don't know what they're doing. You just go and you search on the internet, and, those of us who have been sick for a long time are happy with whatever information we can find on there. And the last one, and this one is probably going to be the most controversial one, because I know that it is necessary for medical research, and that is the placebo effect. And I'm not saying that it's completely a myth, that this is a total lie, but in my experience, if the placebo effect was really that potent, or as potent as doctors make it out to be, so many of us would not be sick anymore. Chronic illness would not exist. That's for sure. So when doctors are researching a condition, for example, with COVID, they had to do double-blind studies, which means that the patient doesn't know what medication they're getting, and the doctor doesn't know if they're actually giving the real medication or the placebo. And I guess some people do feel better getting fake medicine. And I wish that was the case out in the real world. I think when you're doing a study, placebo effect may be even stronger, or even because you're in a study and you know that you're either getting the drug or you're not, and so I think placebo effect out in the real world just doesn't work the same way that it does in a study. And so, when we do things, those of us that are chronically ill, when we experiment with different treatments, for example, stem cells, or I think some people have tried like Rife machines, ozone, those kinds of things. I'm trying to think of something that I've done. I've even taken painkillers, like stronger painkillers. There was absolutely no placebo effect and a million side effects. No relief from my pain, every side effect imaginable. And I've done other things. I've tried medical marijuana. I've tried, I've tried like holistic stuff, naturopathic stuff, arnica, arnica pills. And you would think that the power of suggestion was that strong. And I mean, none of it has done anything for me. I also think there are some people that are just more suggestible. They're more easily influenced. And so those types of things can work better on them. But I just don't think placebo effect is really that strong. I think it is something that is used for research, but I don't know. I think it's just over exaggerated how potent placebo can be. Many of us that are chronically ill, we've tried all of the wackiest things that you could possibly imagine, and we're still in the same boat that we've been in. So I don't think placebo effect is just, it's in the real world. There are a lot more challenges facing the placebo than in a controlled study. So that's what I have. Those are Western medicine myths. If you have any more, please leave them down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.